Okay. So I hope the editor is going to help me and will not. I'll watch this video, so I will know if your editor is good or not. Let me form serious face. Oh Jesus Christ! I wish I was going to be around physically. I am the one who abuses actors. I mean, I abuse act. Not like I abuse. Let me say I I talk about actors not acting well a lot of times when they're in front of the camera. And here I am in front of the camera, and the person editing this is going to be like, "Who is that?" Okay, sorry, head of department. they disturb me all the time. Sorry, it's 2 minutes. I have not recorded anything. Might be new job. Okay, serious face. I hope you crop this so that it's just you're not seeing these walls and okay, so you just crop it. Sorry, I'm not teaching you your job, editor. My name is Martini. I'm an editor, primarily a producer and a filmmaker, an all-round filmmaker. So apart from editing, I try to do some work in production. I try to do production management. I try to work as a producer. So because in the end, you're editing films so that you can, make your own films. So along the way, I try to be a jack of those trades. But film editing is the major specialization. So I got into editing because I wanted to make films. I wanted I loved watching films growing young. My favorite films are Mel Gibson's films, Braveheart, Apocalypto, Axel Ridge, Passion of the Christ. So those are my favorite films. Those are the films that I watched growing up. So I've always wanted to replicate those things that I saw growing up. So I wanted to make films, but then myself and my friend we make films and we have nobody to edit them, or when somebody edits them, we don't like the results. So we just decided that one of us should actually learn how to edit. So from there we started making our short films and we started editing it ourselves. I'm a Man U fan, Man U for life. We just beat Everton. Yeah, that was a very risky match. I'm glad we won that because if we don't win that day, Arsenal don't win. So for Inter, pet peeves. I don't like people commenting on an edit that I'm still working on. If I'm still working on a cut, still fine-tuning the cut, let me finish before you say anything. Because anything you say in that moment is going to feel like you are telling me what to do, or like you're commenting on an unfinished product. It's not nice. So if you ever sit down with me in the studio, just wait for me to finish the cut. When I finish it, you can now say, okay, Martini, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? That's fine. Not when I am still trying to do my back and forth and you're now, I feel shoot you. My most interesting project is going to be Brotherhood. We just completed Brotherhood. That's the most recent, and maybe it's because it's the most recent, that's why I feel like it's the most interesting. But it is the most interesting because it is the biggest action film ever done in Nigeria. It is like the stakes were high. So, and when I was watching the footage and I saw all the shots, I knew that I just had to match that energy. Like they cannot shoot something this good and then in post-production I am going to ruin it. No. So I had to make sure that from edit to sound, everything came out well. I had to make sure I put together. I headed the post-production team as lead editor, so I had to make sure that the sound guy, the final mix, everybody, we're coming with full energy, basically. Yeah. The lessons I learned from Brotherhood. Well, effort is attractive. Effort is good. Those tiny details, those tiny little things that you do in your editing. Oh Jesus, who is that? No bet?
There's no bet. No bet. I'm in the live session. I'm recording something. I'll come back to meet you. You cannot. I'm in the live session. I'm coming. Give me 5, 10 minutes, Joe. Mungo.
Yeah. That's my life. I cannot go 5 or 10 minutes without somebody knocking on my door. Martini, I need this. Martini, I want to do that one. all the little things, all the details you put in your work as an artist, a graphics designer, an editor, a developer, a director, a music video director, anything you do, all the little tiny details, all those the extra effort is what people actually see. Because for me, I noticed that a lot of times when I've like, maybe I made a cut now, or I put a sound effect somewhere, and I find it like, okay, maybe this thing is just a nice to have. It's not really necessary. I notice it's those things that the audience really like, you know. For instance, in Brotherhood, for instance, there are different places where maybe somebody jumped, somebody was trying to climb something, somebody shot, and there's a way, there's something called time remapping. There's a way you just do some speed ramp, and it just makes the whole thing cooler, you know. Another editor will just avoid it and just leave it there like that, but those are the things that make the audience scream. So those tiny little details, yeah, they really go a long way in your final product. So other professionals can adopt this into whatever they do. A web developer, a UI UX person. So yeah. So I will just talk about how I got into the industry and how I think other people can, you know, replicate that, because it's what I have passed through, is what I am still doing. So getting into the industry, I don't know a general way. Like I said, I'll just talk about my way. The way I did it was that I started making short films with my friends. Basically, I joined the film community. We started making short films. I make short films. I put it out there. You know, tag some directors that I would like to work with. You know, tell them, oh, I did this, I did that. If you don't mind, I can, you know, come around to your studio. I don't mind coming to edit this small thing for you. I volunteered on different projects. I volunteered with, just so that I can have a CV. I volunteered with different, you know, sometimes you're trying to reach out to big directors. You may not, I don't think you should do that. I think you should just start with the ones that are very close to you. So on this film community, there's this director that, you know, was already, and he's already a big director now, but 5 years ago when I was, you know, volunteering to edit his videos, he was still coming up. So I had access to him. Then I was like, hey bro, let me, you know, let me shoot and edit your BTS for your film, you know. And he allowed me. That way I have something on my CV. That way I can show somebody else, oh, this is what I have done. So like, even if I did it free, you get. So sometimes I notice young creatives trying to reach out to the established filmmakers and send it. They will not read your DM. They get thousands of DMs, you know. They will not, but find someone who is like, you know, someone who is going up there, you know, and just try to like get their attention. So try to attach yourself to them. Also, networking, you know, everybody says this, but I mean, let me try to give a practical example of myself. So I got on a project where I was to go and do subtitle. I will not name the film, a very big Nigerian film. But I mean, so in the beginning, try to be a jack of all trades in your industry. I think it works. Later you can specialize, because now I've specialized in filmmaking. But in the beginning, I was editing, I was doing subtitling, I was doing production management, assistant director, different things just to, I knew my end goal was to edit, but just so that I can meet filmmakers, network, I was trying to do everything around the filmmaking. So I was called to come and do the subtitle of this big film. And on that place, I met this guy. So this is my personal story, to be honest. I met this guy. He's a colorist. He was coloring that big film. So I met the guy and I was like, oh, I like what you're doing. Apparently, the guy's an editor too. He has edited some big films, you know. So I just like, oh, come on, this is an opportunity. I met this somebody that is big, and you know, from the way I know your stuff. You know, from my conversation with him. Later when we were discussing, you know, like some months ago, he said, when we were talking there, he realized that I look like somebody who knows my stuff, who knows, even if I haven't done big films, I kind of know about editing, I know what I was talking about, and that was why he picked interest in me. So now let me tell you, how did that go? So I met him, he was coloring the film. I was like, oh, I like what you're doing. So I was like, oh, I've also tried to learn coloring. Yes, I color too. But like, oh, I tried to, you know, I've done this, I've done that. I showed him something I have colored. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to get it to this space, but I don't know how to. So he was like, oh, this is nice. So he just did something in DaVinci Resolve, and boom, what I've been trying to do for 3 months, it came out. But he was happy about the fact that, okay, this guy has actually tried, you know, to do this thing before. So from there, he just piqued some kind of interest in me, you know. and this opportunity came, and someone was they called him to come and edit a job, and he was not available. He was like, oh, I have this guy, blah blah blah. Who is it? They said one guy in Ibadan. Wow. The director was like, Ibadan. He said yes, he's in Ibadan, but he's good. So I've showed him some short films that I have done. So I mean, I guess from there he figured out, okay, this guy is not bad. So like, he's good. The director was like, are you sure? Yeah, he said he's good. If you can pay him, he's good. Okay. And he gave me a recommendation. I got on that big film, and this is another big film, not the one that the colorist was working on. So meanwhile, I already told that colorist that I'm available for jobs, blah blah blah. Even if it is to be your second editor and all that stuff. So when the opportunity came and he could not do it, he passed it to me. So meanwhile, he has already hyped me. He already told this person that this guy is a bad guy and all that. Me never did big film before. I shall reach the I don't speak to PJ. So I got to the what's the name? To the director, that called this my guy to come and edit the job. So I got to him and okay, Ibadan boy, oh yeah now, how far? So first thing I did when I got there, since they've been editing that job, first thing I did when I got there was I realized that they were not using proxies. So the first thing that I created proxies. So immediately I did that, I called the director, yeah, come and play this thing. So meanwhile, they've been having issues. That's why they went to call this my friend to come and edit. So for the first time, they played, and for the first time, they had a smooth playback. Like for the first time since they've been editing the project, they had smooth playback, and we're like, okay, this is Ibadan guy. It seems this guy knows his stuff, So, and I impressed this particular director on that project. They were pressed for time. They had 18 days to premiere the film at the cinema, and I delivered it. So I mean, at the end of this, I'll say something. So I delivered it. From there, before I finished that project, he was already discussing another project that he had the January of the next year, and it was like, hey, I have these 2 films coming up, bro, we are going to edit them. His friend already came to meet me. Hey, Tosin told me about you, blah blah blah, you're going to edit our film. Just like that. So, and that's how I have been busy from then till now. I no longer work with this director, but we did 4 projects together. We even did a 10-month Mnet original together. We did like 2 Mnet original films. We did 1 Mnet original series, 260 episodes. We did a cinema film. So like just from that time till like a few months ago, is the one I've been busy with since then. So let me say that was how I made my way into the industry. When people ask me how do you get into the industry, I say you will get that is it tipping point? You will get that part where you're very close to like finding your door into the industry. You might not know it, but just treat every opportunity like gold. Just make sure. My own opportunity then was this colorist introduced me to this guy, and I knew, okay, yes, I have to bust this guy's head. Like I have to impress. Do you get? So I hope you can recognize that point, that point in your career where, okay, like this might lead to the next big thing, and I hope, when that thing comes, you can finesse it, you can kill the job, or do a great job. Let me just give a brief insight into how film editing works. Okay, so the first stage is, you collect the footage from the set. There's somebody called an assistant editor who sorts out the footage, who syncs the audio to the footage, so that you can have a timeline. After that, an offline editor. An offline editor is the person who first puts the film together or puts the scenes together. And the offline editor comes in, touches it and does basic editing, at least creates a coherent or a coherent story or scene. Then after that, an online editor or a finishing editor takes it up, and at this stage is where you do the fine cutting. It's where you edit for pace, you edit for story, you edit for character. Okay, at this stage, okay, who owns this scene? This is a scene of a man confronting his wife. So should we pay more attention to the wife? Is it the wife? Are we watching this scene through the wife? So it's at this stage you adjust the cut to, so that the audience can, watch that scene through the wife. So it's at the online stage you do all those fine details, It's a lot, but they said I only have 10 minutes. So maybe another time I will, talk about other things. So that's online editing. After online editing, it moves to color, sound, and VFX. There's a whole back and forth in all this that I will not be able to exhaust in this my short time. But I hope I have, I hope I have said something. I pity the person who go edit 23 minutes, cut them down to 10 minutes. Oh my God. This is what I used to do before. And trust me, it is hard. I'd rather edit film than edit content. Alright, have a great day. Thank you.